Good morning, everybody. Excited to be here. Welcome to the live recording of episode 6 of the 360 podcast. Today, I have very, very exciting episode today with my special guest, Sanjay Duggal. And we're going to be speaking about, well, not me, well, not we, but Sanjay is going to be speaking about the financial crime industry. All right. This is a very fascinating industry that I've been hearing a lot about. And I'm really excited to have Sanjay on the show, who I'll be bringing out shortly. But if you're tuning in, make sure you hit us up with a like and make sure you reshare this episode with your network. And don't feel shy. Feel free to say hello in the comments. We're gonna have a great discussion today. Very quick shout out to everyone tuning in on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on my Facebook channels as well. And if you have any questions about FinCrime, make sure you start putting them in the comments right now. Just a quick note to those of you tuning in who are job seekers. If you happen to be a job seeker or an IT professional, definitely make sure you continue to follow me for more job search and recruitment related content. And without further ado, I'm going to bring out Sanjay shortly. But again, make sure you give Sanjay a very warm welcome in the comments. I actually brought on Sanjay in the past as well to speak about AML in particular. And today we're going to be focused more on like I mentioned, FinCrime. Now, until I spoke with Sanjay, I didn't really, know that much about FinCrime, and he has mentioned that in the past as well. And I've been definitely hearing about it as well, given cybersecurity and those aspects. We do hear about a lot of these issues occurring in the industry. But Sanjay Duggal has a diverse background, possesses in-depth knowledge of financial services, anti-money laundering, regulatory compliance, as well as digital assets, blockchain, and NFTs. Additionally, Sanjay is actively expanding his domain knowledge in strategic business unit portfolios, particularly in the areas of people and culture, covering HR processes and talent management. Sanjay has worked as a technology sales specialist, trader for the bank brokerage, AML analyst, chief compliance officer for a crypto startup, and currently a lead business analyst. And not only does Sanjay excel in his professional pursuits, but he also finds fulfillment in fostering the growth of other professionals. He provides consulting services in career coaching and mentoring, supporting individuals to reach their full potential. So, folks, make sure you give Sanjay a warm welcome in the comments. Sanjay, welcome to today's episode of the 360 podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in. Good to see you, Sanjay.
Hey Dean, it's great to be back again. Feels like deja vu, right? I was on, I think, just before the pandemic, so it's great to be on again.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that episode that I had with you, it was extremely popular, especially on my YouTube channel. And I still have people commenting and giving feedback on, hey, when are you going to bring Sanjay back? So I was like, okay, I got to get this guy back. But this time, of course, we're going to be speaking about FinCrime, which is, I guess, as you were kind of telling me before, it's a very hot topic in a hot area. but Sanjay, can you, just to kick things off, can you give us some background on what exactly FinCrime actually is?
Yeah, sure. So last time I was talking about a very specific part of FinCrime, which is AML. But AML is just one component of FinCrime, right? It's a very broad domain. So basically, it encompasses a wide range of criminal offenses, right? So you have things like fraud, money laundering, bribery, corruption, terrorist financing, tax evasion, insider trading, identity theft, right? And it emphasizes the financial aspect of criminal activity and the impact basically on the integrity and stability of the financial system. So basically what these criminals are doing is they're manipulating or misusing funds, financial instruments, and the banking system in general for any kind of illicit purposes. And what happens is, to combat FinCrime, governments, regulatory bodies, financial institutions, they have laws, they have regulations, they have frameworks. And their job really is to prevent, detect, and prosecute those activities. So, for example, you have anti-money laundering measures, know your customer, who you're onboarding, who you're banking with, and then fraud prevention techniques. So this collaboration between law enforcement agencies, financial institutions, and regulatory bodies, they all gather the evidence and bring those criminals to justice.
Got it. I mean, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like something out of one of those action movies, right? Like when you're explaining this thing, I'm thinking about, Jack Reacher or, the Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. That's kind of what I'm getting. But Sanjay, how did you get into this industry, and what do you like about it the most?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I kind of fell into it. I guess right place, right time. So I remember, I think it was back in 2015. That time I was working at TD Direct Investing, which is an online brokerage. And, I'd done my 18 months. It was time to, move on to the next career peg. So, the natural course would be go to like financial advisor or investment advisor. That's where I was thinking of going. And a couple of my colleagues were then moving into compliance and AML. And at that time, I didn't know what AML was. It's the first time I'd
Yeah.
heard of this concept. So one of my colleagues had told me, hey, HSBC is hiring. They're taking anyone on board which has some kind of financial services background. You get to snoop into people's accounts, and there's no sales targets. You don't work weekends like you do in the branch. And I was thinking, you know what, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I get, so I decided to apply, and that's how I got my foot in the door as an AML analyst at the beginning. So I took HSBC's training, and then the rest is history. From there, I just kind of honed in my skill set and have been in this space ever since.
Got it. And what do you personally like about it? Like, what do you enjoy about it? Like, what makes you kind of passionate about this particular industry?
Well, I think a couple of things. So, a lot of people talk about job satisfaction, right? Meaningful work. So in FinCrime, we're not doing crime, by the way. We're preventing crime. Just to make that
Yeah,
clear.
just to
So,
clarify that with everyone out there.
yeah. So you're doing something really. You're helping society, right? You're finding criminals. You're preventing from disrupting the financial system, right? You're the advocate for individuals and small businesses, right? You hear a lot in the news every now and again about tax evasion or fraud or bribery. Who do we know? A friend of a friend, or someone in the family has been hit by some kind of scam or fraud. So there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from this line of work where you're impacting people, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fulfillment that comes from that. That's number one. So you feel like, to your point, you feel a bit like a superhero, right? Not to the extent we see on the movies, but in some small way. And there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of change. It's one of those fields where uh, one day is never the same from another. There's constant regulatory updates that are coming down the pipeline. So you always have to stay abreast to what's coming out from the government, regulation, and financial crime is a game of cat and mouse, like Tom and Jerry, right?
Yeah.
You're always kind of finding ways to prevent crime, but then the criminals are always coming out with innovative ways to counter that. So that constant back and forth is always there. So that excitement's there, in terms of you applying skill sets, and there's a lot of technology that's coming out too to combat financial crime. So you learn a lot. There's a lot of constant change, and you're an advocate for protecting the financial systems and individuals and businesses. So I think that's really what I enjoy about this industry.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like very extremely fulfilling work, and from what I've heard, like on the criminal side, this is like a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? Like financial crimes. So I mean, it's huge the impact that has on people, and you're kind of involved in helping take those preventative measures and all that. So Sanjay, like, what type of career paths are available in FinCrime?
So as I mentioned, it's quite diverse, right? So a couple of key areas that you can get into would be one of the broad areas, which is basically called a compliance officer. All right, that's one of the areas. So as a compliance officer, you're responsible basically for ensuring financial institutions adhere to laws, that fall under regulation. You're basically maintaining internal policies. You're developing compliance programs, right? You're doing things like risk assessments for the bank. And then, with that career path, you can then become seasoned and eventually become a CCO, which is a chief compliance officer, where you basically oversee, you're responsible for that entire compliance department, right? That's one area. Another one that I alluded to earlier, which is what we talked about when I was on last, was AML analyst, anti-money laundering analyst. And in that role, you're basically doing the investigation part. So you're investigating for suspicious transactions, indicative of money laundering or terrorist financing. You're analyzing customer data, you're looking for transactional patterns, and you're reporting those to FinTrack, who is our regulator. And again, with that role, you can progress. You can go from a AML analyst to a senior AML analyst to a team lead to a manager of AML and eventually head of financial crime, right? Another area is a fraud investigator. So with fraud investigating, you're basically looking for things like identity theft, credit card fraud, insurance fraud. You're gathering evidence, you're interviewing. And with that role, you're basically working closely with law enforcement agencies. You're building cases against individuals, organizations. A couple of new emerging roles, right, in the last couple of years. Cybersecurity analyst. There's a lot of kind of intersection between that and the analyst role, because you're basically prevailing in, there's a lot of prevalent cybercrime happening. So as a cybersecurity analyst, you're basically protecting data from cyber threats, from hacking, data breaches, things like that. Ransomware attacks, right? You're responsible for identifying those, looking for vulnerabilities, security measures. And another role as well recently that's come up is cryptocurrency investigator.
Oh,
Right? So as
interesting. Wow.
cryptocurrency gains popularity, so does the need to have
Yeah.
analysts to monitor transactions on the blockchain, specifically for illicit activity. So as a cryptocurrency investigator, you're specialized in tracing and analyzing blockchain transactions, money laundering, fraud, ransomware payments. And these type of roles you're going to find mostly in crypto exchanges, right? So your CoinSquare, Coinbase, Kraken, Binance, even Wealthsimple, because they also host crypto wallets as well. So those are some emerging roles, as well as you can go into data analytics, data science fields within FinCrime, and that you're identifying patterns, a lot of data, you're identifying patterns for identifying financial crime, detecting anomalies, predictive models to enhance like fraud detection and prevent systems from going down. And then last but not least, regulatory technology roles called RegTech. So those you're looking at leveraging technology to assist regulatory compliance. You're looking at technology solutions, automation of compliance monitoring tools. And that kind of leads into what I was doing as a business analyst, where I was specializing in AML. So I was implementing regulatory changes within the internal systems to work with our vendor to fight suspicious activities. So yeah, quite diverse, a lot of options there.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, clearly there's a multitude of options for people, and it sounds like it can kind of whatever your background is, there almost sounds like there is like a pathway to get into this space. So with that being said, how does someone best break into no pun intended FinCrime as a career or something? Like what are some recommended previous experiences and stuff like that?
Yeah, so getting into the field, I mean, it's a combination of a few things, right? So key is going to be, combination of education, skills, and practical experience, right? So first and foremost, I would suggest getting your education and knowledge, right? Get a core understanding of AML risks. And where you're going to find that is going to the FinTrack website. That's going to be your bread and butter. So FinTrack is short for Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Center of Canada. Bit of a tongue twister. So that website,
try to say that fast like 10 times, right?
Yeah, so that website basically has all the information that's mandated on regulation and guidance for Canada. So with that, you're going to find that website hosts information on the regulatory frameworks for anti-money laundering, terrorist financing. It's going to tell you how institutions report suspicious transactions. What are the red flags, right? And that website's always evolving. So as things have changed through COVID, there's different types of financial crime that FinTrack have found that's happening in financial institutions. So it's a very good website to understand your bread and butter of what's happening in the industry. What are the trends? How do you do a suspicious transaction report? What are the things that are important to put on the case? So that's a really good starting point.
How do you spell that
Another
again?
would be
Sorry to cut you off, Sanjay. How do you spell that again? I just want to put it for the comments.
FinTrack. It's spelled FinTrac.
Oh, fintrack.com.
I believe so. Yeah, fintrack.com.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there's a ton of information there.
Yeah, there you go.
That's where I go to see what the latest trends are basically in the marketplace. So that'll be the first thing, right?
Right.
Getting the knowledge. Another one would be to get some professional certifications, right? So you want to pursue those that are highly regarded in the field, especially for your career. So there's three that I would recommend. So one of them is called ACFCS. Okay, that stands for Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists. So that website is acfcs.org. Okay. Now, that organization, they're basically a global professional association. They're dedicated to basically improving knowledge, skills, and expertise in the profession. And they cover a lot of broad areas within FinCrime. So they're going to cover things like AML, cybersecurity, compliance programs. And they do have a certificate that you can obtain called Certified Financial Crime Specialist. You will see that on some of the job postings out there. It wasn't as well known, I would say 5 years ago, but as they have evolved their program and their certification, you will see sometimes they'll put there as a nice to have if you have this certification. As we talked about crypto, so they've recently added a crypto compliance specialization. So that's going to focus on financial crime risks within the crypto industry. So that's really good that they've added that. Okay. So that's one of them I would recommend. Another one is ACAMS. So that's ACAMS.org. So that stands for Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists. And that's going to be certification where you're going to find a lot of job postings. It's usually the one that's recommended, preferred, or strongly preferred. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, if you're coming into the field fresh, it's definitely one you want to consider. They've labeled it basically as a gold standard for AML, and it's very AML focused. So depending on what role you want to do, that would be a good certificate. And again, because of the changes in the marketplace and the adoption of cryptocurrencies, they have also added a new certification. I think it came out last month or the month before. And that's called Certified Crypto Asset Specialist. Oh. And again, that's how to manage risks and comply with regulation, specifically within the crypto sector.
Okay, very interesting. So, I mean, obviously, there are a lot of options for people that want to, get into this space, and there's obviously so many different areas within FinCrime. Now, when we chatted before, Sanjay, you mentioned the concept of being T-shaped in order to grow one's career. Now, what do you mean by T-shaped?
Yeah, T-shape. So that concept of T-shape basically is strategic career. It's basically a strategy that career professionals can use, and it combines deep expertise in a specific area with broad understanding of various disciplines, right? Mm-hmm. So if we look at, let's define some terms, right, that will make it easier. So if you look at a specialist, we can look at it as the I, right? This I symbol. So as a specialist, you're an expert in a specific area of knowledge, right? Generally, you're going to have, highly technical or niche skills that are in demand. Now, given that we're in a world of rapid change and there's a lot of change in technology, regulation, the potential is that you can become outdated if you don't keep updated with what's coming out in the marketplace. So that's one of the benefits of being a specialist, but also one of the risks, right? Yeah. The other type of individual would be the generalist. So the generalist is symbolized as the dash, right? So we got the specialist as the I, you got the generalist as the dash, right? Now the generalist is the person which has got the broad range of skills, and you can apply those to various roles and industries, right? So you may not have the depth of expertise that a specialist has, but you do have more adaptability to learn new skills quickly. So although generalists are more widely available in the marketplace, there's a lot of competition. So generalists generally, it's hard to stand out. So basically what T-shape is combining the specialist with the generalist, and then you get the T.
Oh, I see. Oh,
right.
Okay, nice.
So you get the T. So basically, I would like to say the T-shaped individual is an improvement on the classic jack of all trades, master of none. A T-shaped person is the jack of many trades, master of at least one.
Okay.
Right? So a couple of things that are good in terms of becoming a T-shaped individual, right? So one is you're going to develop deep expertise, right? Choose one specific area, one domain that you have genuine interest in or aptitude. That could be, for example, as it relates to FinCrime, you could go into investment brokerage, credit union, a bank, a crypto exchange, a FinCrime, or even a compliance software firm, right? Invest your time and effort, acquire specialized knowledge, skills, and become an expert. Stay up to date with industry trends. Another one is foster breadth of knowledge. So alongside your deep expertise, you want to develop some broad understanding of related disciplines. So things like communication skills, business acumen, technical skills. So that's going to build on your broad skill set.
Yeah.
And that will allow you to connect with professionals with diverse backgrounds, enhance your ability to solve complex problems, and embracing like a growth mindset, and as well as collaborative skills. So those are the benefits of becoming a T-shaped individual. But at the end of the day, Dean, being a well-rounded person is going to make you more marketable, right? Which is what the end goal is, what we all want to do in this ever-changing marketplace that we're seeing.
Gotcha. Now, quick follow-up question regarding the T-shaped, methodology you kind of just discussed, Sanjay. So let's say someone's starting out in the FinCrime industry. Should they first start out as a specialist or a generalist and then kind of transition into this T-shaped thing, or should they try to attempt the T-shaped strategy right off the bat if they're new to the industry? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So good question. So I guess it comes from your background, right? So, if you have an aptitude for sales, right? If you're good at communicating, I would say double down on what you already are good at.
Okay.
So if you're good community, good at skill, build some expertise within sales, within your organization, within, say, a compliance software solution organization, how to be the account manager, how to gauge customers and clients. And then once you've mastered that, then start building your expertise in other domains, right? Get some business acumen or some technical skills. Likewise, if you're a very technical person, build on that, build on your data analytics skills, and then add to that by adding some communication skills as well. So when you're doing some data analytics, right, and you're very good at that, and you've got some specialization in, say, artificial intelligence or machine learning, then say, how can I apply that when I am conveying this to a stakeholder on a meeting, right? So start with what you know, start with what you're good at, and then from there build outwards. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, excellent advice. And another follow-up question regarding that, Sanjay, like when people are at a point where they're figuring out maybe an area they want to dig a little deeper into, as you mentioned, how should they determine that? Like, should they just go for what they feel passionate and excited about? Should they more so take a look at where the demand is in the industry? Like, what's your personal suggestion on that?
Yeah, great question. So with the different domains, in my example, for example, so I was in a crypto startup, right? And there was a lot of headway, and then the market changed. There was a lot of volatility. There's a lot of regulation. So I stepped out of that industry and waited. And in the time while I'm waiting, I'm just getting more expertise, skills in that domain, so that way when things start picking up, when there's more clear regulation, specifically in the United States, I can always jump back into that industry. So likewise, you want to definitely go with the emerging trends because you want to ride that wave, right?
Yeah.
So which industries, which domains are hot, so you can ride that wave, because when you're riding that wave, you're going to move with the tide. So you're going to get opportunities to grow within our organization, right? And likewise, if you're in an organization or industry which is kind of slow, take some time to step out, go into a more stable environment, and continue to upgrade your skills. And when there's an opportunity to get back into that area, you can always do that. So definitely you want to not be stagnant and kind of be at the mercy of what's happening in the industry if things are volatile or are not changing in the way that you want them to at that time. So yeah, and that's done by just monitoring trends, keeping your heart to the market, what's happening on LinkedIn, find out where the opportunities are, and forecasting, right? Looking ahead, like where are things going not only today, but where are things going in the future? So we're seeing things like Chat GPT, AI, artificial intelligence. How can I use those technologies to foster my career in the future? So today they might not be prominent, but where are things going in the future, and what can I do today to secure my future career?
Yeah, that I really like that advice. I mean, it sounds like very practical and pragmatic advice. When things are changing, when you're seeing things trending a certain way, it's best to kind of go with the ebb and flow from what you're saying, and I think that also contributes to the T-shaped ideal that we should aspire to. So I think that makes perfect sense. Now, in terms of, and again, we kind of chatted about this before, but you mentioned treating your when looking at one's career, you should treat it like playing chess versus playing checkers when it comes to your career strategy. That sounds very Sun Tzu like. Can you elaborate what you mean by that?
Well, first of all, Dean, how are you as a checkers or chess player? You play at all?
Yeah, I used to play chess, but I was not very good at it.
So it's kind of like the way I look at like the Nike, just do it, statement. So when I'm talking to my clients, right, and we have our conversations, I'm always telling them, where do you think you're going? Are you playing chess at the moment? Or are you playing checkers, right? So I'm obviously going to be an advocate for chess. Those that have played both games know that chess is a more in-depth and more complex game. But I like this analogy, right? I don't know who coined it, but I just started running with this
Yeah.
this analogy. So when you look at the game of checkers, right? It's a very simple game. It's a very short-term game. The goal is to get your pieces from one side to the other. There's limited moves, right? It's a very repetitive game. There's not much strategy. So you want to look at your career in terms of what game are you playing, right? Are you playing the short-term game? And you want to obviously avoid that and start playing the game of chess, right? So
Right.
some things that are common when you look at your career and you say, well, what game am I playing? So you're playing a game of checkers if you're just focusing on things like immediate job opportunities. You're not considering the long-term applications of your decisions, right? And you're just making it solely on, say, short-term benefits or financial gains, right? You're looking
Yeah.
at the now versus what if I'm in this role, what kind of opportunity will I get, versus taking a more strategic long-term view of how this role or this strategy will play out. And then also, things like neglecting ongoing learning, right? So a lot of us tend to get complacent when we have a job. Okay, I'm good, but the world is changing, right? It's always changing. You always need to be updated on the new technology, the new regulations. So part of that is not neglecting, ongoing learning, doing skill development, and then also, if you're playing the game of checkers, you're making frequent job changes, right, without a clear
Yeah.
direction or progression plan. Now, on the other hand, chess is obviously associated with more strategic, long-term mindset. Chess requires thinking several moves ahead, right? You're anticipating your consequences of every move, right? So if you're playing a game of chess, you're investing in long-term goals, creating a career roadmap. One of the things that I learned in business analysis is what's called a SWOT analysis. That stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I recommend anyone in their career to do a SWOT analysis on themselves. What are my internal strengths? What are people telling me I'm good at? What am I not good at? What do I dislike? Because obviously you want to avoid and stay away from things that you're weak at and focus, double down on your strengths. What are the opportunities in the job market, and what are the threats for me to get there? So that's a way you can apply chess thinking, right? Considering the impact of your career decisions and future opportunities, investing in continuing learning, staying relevant in the industry, and then proactively identifying and capitalizing on emerging trends in industries, right? So making that shift from working in a financial institution to then, say, working in a fintech or a crypto exchange or vice versa, right? Being able to adapt to move where the opportunities are within different industries. And, they say patience is a virtue, right? So in chess, you can't allow yourself to make rash decisions. You have to consider options and choose the best move. So, that's how that analogy applies.
Awesome.
And
And
I
we
recommend people watch, that Netflix movie, The Queen's Gambit on Netflix,
Oh
right?
yeah, I watched it. That's a great show.
Yeah, that'll give you some strategic implications of career growth that relates to this chess analogy.
Yeah, and apparently I heard some. I don't know if it's true, but I heard apparently that show was really popular, and after that show came out, the sales of like chessboards like skyrocketed or something like that. Everybody would start playing chess. So
Yeah, even me, I was like going on Amazon, like, you know what? I'm gonna order a chessboard. Let me
yeah,
get started learning this game.
yeah, that's right. We got some feedback from the comments. Someone said brilliant analogy. Absolutely. You mentioned about the SWOT analysis, Sanjay. I just had a quick question about something you mentioned there. Now, you mentioned in regards to the weaknesses, one should typically avoid maybe areas where they'd be exposed to one of their weaknesses or something. But aren't there cases where we should try to improve on our weaknesses? Like, how do we kind of differentiate between that? In terms of, hey, I should leverage my strengths and avoid my weakness areas. And then what about those times where it's more of an opportunity to improve yourself? Like, how do you differentiate between the two?
Yeah, let me be a bit more clear on that one. So when I talk about weaknesses, I'm talking about things you dislike,
Uh,
things that you don't have aptitude for, right? For example, for myself, programming, I'm definitely, that's a weakness. I don't know how to program. I don't know how to do that kind of Python programming. So that's an area I would definitely avoid, because the time and investment for me in that area, and just because there's a lot of barriers to entry, not only in learning but also knowing my personality. So when I say weaknesses, stay away from things that that's going to take a lot of effort, and double down on things that you're already very good at. But again, to your point, there are some areas, or there are some skill sets that you are interested in, but it may not be at a place where you have a lot of knowledge. For example, there's a lot of people on this call that might be interested in crypto or blockchain, right?
yeah,
So they may be standing from a place of weakness, meaning they don't understand the industry yet, but they have a passion, they have an interest, they have a curiosity, right? So that's going to drive them then to then take the steps to learn that industry, get the knowledge, seek mentorship, seek professionals, start attending seminars, and that's where you can build on that. So the starting point, the starting place is definitely your curiosity or your interest in something that you may not know at this present time. So that's the differentiation when I'm talking about the weaknesses aspect.
okay, excellent. Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. And also another follow up question I had, Sanjay, regarding the chess versus checkers analogy. By the way, great analogy. I definitely agree with you on thinking long term, thinking a few steps ahead. Now, that being said, there might be some viewers out there. They're like, "Hey, Sanjay Dean, I don't even know what I'm doing, tomorrow. Like, how am I? I'm not sure where my career is going to take me in the next few years. I don't know where I'm going to be a few years from now. How do those people play chess, or what do you think they should be doing? Like, if they're not 100% sure what they want to do over the next few years of their career, or is
Yeah,
it
you know
even
what?
possible?
Yeah, career is one of those things. A few of us are very fortunate; they know exactly what they're going to do when they turn
Yeah,
18. They're like, okay, I want to become a doctor. They go to med
yeah,
school,
exactly,
and
right.
then
Yeah,
they're a doctor their whole life. A lot of us, me included, it was an exploratory process, right? Like, I don't know what I want to do. Like,
yeah,
and a lot of it really, frankly, comes down to experimentation.
mhm,
You will not know if you like something until you actually try it. So I would say not to be scared or worried about trying new things, because the act of trying it and doing it, you're gonna know. If you read a job description, you're really not going to know whether it's something you're going to really like truly unless you're
yeah,
actually doing it. So I would say, start once you've done the SWOT analysis, start looking at different roles. Go on LinkedIn, start seeking out professionals that are further on in their career, and see what you like about those roles that they're in, and see their progress. How did they get to those roles? What are the steps? Start doing interview people and say, what do you enjoy about this role? What don't you like? And see if it resonates with you. That's how you're going to kind of start getting some data points for yourself. And if you're fortunate to work at a company which allows you to do job shadowing, do some job shadowing, right? If you're in the investment side or the fraud side, or the call center side,
mhm,
ask your manager, say, hey, I want to do some job shadowing in the compliance department or the AML department or the brokerage department or whatever it may be. And
Yeah.
that's how you're going to see what they do on a daily basis and get to see that if that's something you're potentially going to be interested in. So I would say don't be afraid to experiment. All these data points help you learn and become a better, well-rounded individual and get you closer to things you're truly going to enjoy. But the only way you're going to know that is by experimentation.
That's great advice, Sanjay, because it's totally true. Like you never know until you really immerse yourself into something, right? So I think that's fantastic advice. I do have a couple of you folks tuning in have sent me private messages with some questions, so I'm going to get to that shortly. But Sanjay, I mean, at your end, as we kind of wrap up, can you let the audience know more about yourself and Digital Fountain and how you can help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the founder of Digital Found Consulting. Basically, I help individuals. I help three type of individuals: new graduates who are just out of school, they want to figure out their career path; um, individuals that want to get into FinCrime careers, right, or transition from another domain; and thirdly, seasoned professionals that say are already AML analysts or compliance professionals, and they want to move further up. They want to become a senior or a team lead, or maybe even know how to become a chief compliance officer, because I've done that role myself, so I can help
Mhm.
those individuals. So those are three types of people I help, and I help them primarily with their soft skills. So I help people with LinkedIn branding. So how do you market yourself? How do you build a good LinkedIn brand? How do you make a digital elevator pitch of who you are?
Yeah.
How do you tap into the hidden job market? How do you get access to recruiters, hiring managers, and professionals, right? And how do you grow your following? So that's one area that I help people with. Another area is how to how to communicate your value in a cover letter and a resume,
Right.
what's called disruptive cover letter. So how do you convey your ability? If you're applying for jobs, you're not getting any recruiters following up with you. Most likely it's because you're not conveying your value. So I help you with your cover letter and resume.
Mhm.
The other third area that I help people with is interview preparation. So one is, if you have a good LinkedIn brand and recruiters find you, they're going to say, okay, send me your resume. The resume is going to get you to the interview. But then the last stage is you have to ace the interview. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
help people with how do you ace your interview. So I help people with very different things because I come from a sales background. So I'm going to help you with things like your body language. How do you build rapport? How do you identify the personality type you're interviewing with, right? What are the right words to use using NLP, neuro linguistic programming, right? And at the end of the day, when it comes to salary negotiation, which is a tough thing for a lot of people, how do you negotiate your salary where it's a win-win, right?
Mhm.
Where you're winning and they're happy to oblige by giving you the salary that you want. So how do you foster those conversations? What type of questions should you ask at the end of the interview? I help you with those. And not only that, once you get hired, what is your 30, 60, 90-day plan? So I help you with career progress beyond that. So I help you holistically with that whole soft skills career path. And you can go to my website, digitalfountain.ca. And from there, you can book a 20-minute discovery call with me, and I can help find out what are your pain points and how I can then help you with these different areas.
Fantastic. And I'll put that's your website there. So feel free to check it out, folks. For those of you interested in checking out more information on how Sanjay can help you. And Sanjay, what's the best way for people to connect with you on social media? Is it LinkedIn or what's your social media stuff?
I live and breathe on LinkedIn, Dean. So
Okay, okay.
LinkedIn is the best place for people to find me. I just dropped in my Linktree link, which has got a couple of other links in there as well. It's got my website, it's got my LinkedIn profile and email. So LinkedIn is the best place to find me. And then yeah, feel free to book a call with me. You get a 20-minute discovery call on my website. You can drop me an email as well. Those are the best ways to reach me. Yeah.
Awesome, fantastic. So I have one. I guess a couple of people send me a private message. So I guess those of you folks sending me private messages, you don't want to publicly put your comments, so that's fine. So this person says, "Hi Dean, can you ask Sanjay? I've been a software developer for 3 years. I want to explore the FinCrime industry, but I don't want to do anything in programming. What is your suggestion? So basically, I guess what this person's saying is, uh, they've obviously been working as a software developer, but they don't want to leverage that because they don't want to get into anything development related. So what's your suggestion for them?
So if they don't want to do program anymore, I would say identify which, well, you want to do a couple of things. Identify which industry you want to work in. Do you want to work in a crypto exchange? Do you like crypto or blockchain? Do you want to work in a brokerage like a Wealth Simple? Do you want to work at a bank? Do you want to work at a credit union? Identify which type of organization do you want to work in, or do you want to work for a compliance software solutions company? So A, where do you want to work? What type of industry? And then B, what kind of role do you want to do? Do you want to develop business acumen? Do you want to do AML investigation, compliance? So it's very crucial that you get focused on what type of roles. And then the next step is take my advice from going to FinTrack's website, learn about the meat and potatoes of financial crime, terrorist financing, right? What are the trends? And then from there, take a certification, right? I mentioned ACAMS or the ACFCS. That will be the path that will fast track you. And then, go on LinkedIn, start connecting with professionals which have job titles or job roles that pique your interest, and ask them, what do you like about your role? What do you do day to day? How did you get there? What certifications? What training did you do? Right. So
Mhm.
that would be the way to go about it.
Okay. So clearly, I mean, this individual. So to this individual, I think Sanjay shared some great advice. It sounds like you got to do some research at your end and maybe have some discovery conversations there. So I think that's fantastic advice. We have a question from Nishant Guglani tuning in from YouTube. So hey Nishant, thanks for tuning in. So Nishant says, "Hi sir, I've joined late. What are the ways in which an experienced banking professional in sales can enter into financial crime?" So I know you might have mentioned some advice in relation to this already, Sanjay, but any other additional thoughts for Nishant?
What are the ways in which an experienced banker in sales? So if you want to continue in sales, a natural transition would be to work for a compliance software solutions company, right? Because if you already have sales experience, as I alluded to earlier, leverage on your strengths. So there's a lot of companies out there. There's, like, for example, Chainalysis is one that is in the crypto industry, and they sell crypto forensics software to crypto exchanges. So you could potentially work for that. And companies like Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, CoinSquare, they use these softwares. So you could be the account manager or the customer experience person or the person which is going on the market for these crypto companies. Say, hey, do you want to learn about our tool, how you can use it? So that's an area that you could potentially kind of get some expertise in. Or if you want to go the more traditional route, join a company that sells, like, for example, Verifin, Finango. These are brick and mortar. These help banking clients or credit unions with compliance software. And you could come in as a front face and build client base and demo these applications to the end client, stakeholders, etc. So that would be a good.
Awesome. Thanks for that advice, Sanjay. Nishant, hope that helps. Let us know in the comments. I got another private message here. Someone says, "Hi, Dean. Uh, let me just quickly read this. What are they saying? Okay, no, never mind. Okay, let me go to the next question. That was not related to this. They're saying, "Hey, Dean, is FinCrime Industry recession proof?" Any thoughts about that? Uh,
As long as it's criminals, there will always be a job for you, right? So to answer your question, yes, 100%. Right? I don't think crime is going away anytime soon. There's always going to be someone, which is trying to game the system. Greed, unfortunately, is out there. It's crime everywhere. I think, as alluded to earlier, like that game of cat and mouse. So there's always going to be an opportunity for you to showcase your skills, adapt your skills, and move with the industry. So I don't think there's ever going to be any shortage of jobs. I mean, technology is adapting. Don't get me wrong. There's machine learning and AI is there, but it's not going to, it's not going to take away from jobs in the future. What's going to happen is, AI and Chat GPT will be your co-pilot,
mhm.
right? So a lot of companies are going to use them and leverage those capabilities. And eventually, what's going to happen is you'll be able to get a lot more done
Yeah.
Whereas before we couldn't do those things with technology. So yeah, short and sweet. As long as it's criminals, you'll always have a job in FinCrime.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. And that's looks like that's all the questions we have from the viewers. So thanks everyone who put in their questions. Sanjay, thank you so much for spending time with us. You shared such great information about the FinCrime industry, and I'm sure that I'll have to bring you on again at some point to further discuss this space as well as other areas that you're very knowledgeable about. So, folks, make sure you check out Sanjay's Linktree page, which I shared before. And again, I'll put it here. It's linktr.ee/digital fountain. Also, make sure you connect with Sanjay. And Sanjay, thanks so much. For all the information and the time that you shared. And I look forward to having you again in the future.
My pleasure, Dean. It's been awesome.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you hit us up with a like and a share. And make sure you share this with your network. And we'll see you around next time. Have a good one, everyone.